Good morning, Trustlinks. It's Gareth again, which must mean it's Friday. So nice to see you all. So I'm just adjusting the camera. As you can see, I'm joined by Winnie the Pooh today. Live from my daughter's bedroom again. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make some 3D line art. Just going to wait for some people to join. I can see one person's just joined. Please feel free to say hello when you do join. Be nice to see you. Nice to know people are watching as well. So today, like I say, we're going to be doing some 3D line art. I did post on my Trustlinks profile the other day a picture that I'd done just to give you a bit of a sneak preview. It's following on from what we did last week, which was the little Zentangles and filling shapes with the strings. And I thought, well, what else could we do with that? And I came across something called 3D spiral art, which I thought was really good, which actually ties in really nicely with these. It's a good way of actually filling shapes, really simple and effective, and you end up with things like that. So I'm going to show you a really simple technique which is really easy to do, which can be used for the Zentangles or to create bigger pictures like that. So we've got two people watching. Hello, welcome, nice to see you. Morning, Tom. How you doing? So I'm going to try something a bit different with the camera today, because last week I had it sort of precariously balanced. I watched it back, I kept knocking the camera and you had a bit of a juddery view. And also I had a few people comment to say, I didn't know you were left-handed, because what I hadn't factored on was the fact that every time you do a live feed, it mirrors the screen if you're doing it from the forward way. So actually at the moment that is a mirrored image, which you can see down the bottom, because actually my initials are backwards. So I'm going to try and do a bit of trickery and hope my selfie stick stand doesn't fall over while I do it. So I'm going to focus more on the paper today. Like I say, anyone's just joining, I can see 6 people joining. Hi Joe, hi Wayne's there as well, and Kirsty. Like I say, this is what we're doing today. We're going to make some of these. I'm going to show you how to do them. They're so simple to make, but really make an effective piece of art. Personally, I think they're really good for making your own colouring sheets if you're not able to get out and like a bit of mindful colouring. You can actually make your own. So like I say, I'm going to try and set up the camera so it's a little bit more a little bit easier to read, and also it'll be easier. Morning Leanne. It'll be much easier for me to check the comments from above as well rather than below. As you can see, I'm in my daughter's bedroom. All the princess things, as much as I'd like to take credit for them, they're not actually mine. So if I can get that down that way without it tilting over, should be able to see a bit more of what we're doing. Like I say, last week you got several views of my face coming in when I was trying to read the camera from underneath. Morning Jassa. Ah, lovely. Morning Jan as well. Good to see you all watching. Right, so this is what we're doing today. Some 3D line art, just to take on from what we did last week. It's a technique that you can use to actually fill shapes within Zentangles, but today, as you can see, going to be working on some A4 paper. So, like I say, when you first see that, I showed my wife it and she said, oh well, that's really good. She said, obviously some of my lines aren't straight, and again, it's not about perfection, it's more about the process. But couldn't quite work out actually how it was done in the first place, and actually it looks complicated, but it's really simple but really effective technique. So I'll start off by just showing you a few basic techniques. I'm hoping you can all see okay, because I can't actually see the camera. Morning Ali. Morning Alison. So I'm working on a cutting mat today because I'm on quite thin printer paper, and with Sharpies I tend to go through and stain tables and desks and all sorts. So the basic theory around doing these shapes is actually just to start with a basic shape. Like I say, your lines don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be straight, but I will just show you the basic theory of that. So you might start with a square, you might start with a triangle, could even have a rectangle, or you might have just a random shape that you might want to fill in. So to create these spiral shapes, you start with your basic shape and you go from one corner, start in the corner and start eking your way out. As you go round the shape, you're almost drawing the same shape but on a bit of a jaunty angle as you go all the way round. Just keep following that line round every so often, starting from, see that line there, you start from that line and just ever so slightly come out. So from that line, come out, say I'm going to be doing this fairly quickly today. You can obviously, if you're doing it at home, watching back, take a bit more time than me. I've got the case of the shaky hand again today. Call it stage fright, call it nerves being on live, but it's always good to get your eye in first as well, because actually by doing some simple shapes first, hopefully by the time I get onto the talking how to put these shapes together, I should hopefully have a bit more of a steady hand to be able to go through. So like I say, all you're doing is just going through that, from that first basic shape, you're going through and just going at different angles. So starting from the corners, inside the corners, and just bringing that line out. As you can see, it starts to create a lovely spiral effect. As you get smaller and smaller into the middle, and you're left with that. So from a simple square, got a nice 3D spiral effect. Exactly the same method for any shape you've got, really. It doesn't have to be a regular shape. So I'll put that one in there for the sake of it, just to show you again. So if we start from one edge of the triangle, follow that line across, start bringing it out. Doesn't matter how thick the spaces in your lines are. You can do them quite wide, you can do them quite narrow. It just has the same effect the way round. I try and make them as narrow as I can, really. Obviously depending on what pens equipment you've got, you might want to do it with a fine liner. I did try it with a biro yesterday. I started drawing one with a biro, which did have a good effect, but I find it makes a far more striking image, and you get your far more of your definition on your spirals when you're using a felt tip or a Sharpie. So again, with the rectangle, start from one corner, follow along the line and start coming out from the lines. So you can pretty much fill any shape with this technique. So it's really good to use for the Zentangles that we did last week, or to create a whole sheet of these. And like I say, I will take you through a few basic designs. But the good thing is that actually I actually never know how any of these are going to turn out. So when we come to putting the shapes together, I don't actually, it might be just my brain, but I can't actually work out what the finished product's ever going to look like. So it's as much as a surprise to me. That one didn't really come out particularly well. Never mind. I'd say you can take a bit more care and attention than I am when you're doing these at home. This is just to give you the basic method. So like I say, you start in one corner, draw the shape inside the shape, always moving that line across and joining it to the opposite side line. And just gradually going inside, getting smaller and smaller. So you will see the shape actually changing as you go round and join those lines up. So my hand isn't really unsteady today, but like I say, it doesn't always have to be perfect. So that gives you a rough idea. You start with 4 basic shapes. I would do a circle. Circles always tend to go wrong for me, so I might leave the circle today. Actually, no, I'll be brave. Circles are a weird one because you don't actually have an edge to go to. Morning, Crystal. Hi, Clive. Nice to see you all. So yeah, circles are a bit of an anomaly because you don't actually have a line to go to. With the square, you've got a definite end bit. So with the circle, almost you have to try and round it off. So go from there inwards, round to the bottom edge, round to that edge, round to that edge. So you almost get a rounded square within your shape, and then start following that round. Oh, apologies, my phone is ringing. I'm gonna decline that. Try not to shake the screen too much. So yeah, so with the circle, you are basically following it round, and it becomes more of a rounded square on the inside. There. So that didn't come out too badly, actually. I'll take that. I'll take that as a win. That's possibly the best one I've done with a circle, so I'll quit while I'm ahead. So the key to creating something like that is actually then to join some shapes up together. Hi Lee, your face just popped up. Still got 7 people watching. That's not bad going. Hope you're enjoying the session today. So anyone's just joined, we're creating 3D line art with spirals like that. Basically filling in random shapes just to show you the technique. And then the key to actually creating a bigger picture is actually to join those shapes up. So I'll leave that somewhere in view so we can see what we're doing with that. And it's similar to the Zentangles we did last week. I'm going to start with a blank piece of paper. And the first thing you want to do is draw a border around that. You can do that freehand. My hand is still a little bit shaky, but I'll try and get my lines as best I can. The good thing with doing this with a cutting mat as well is actually I've got some lines I can follow. And then we'll pretend that one at the top's straight. But like I say, it doesn't really matter. None of the lines in there are particularly straight either, but it still makes the same effect. So the key is not to do it with any judgment. So within this shape, it's a bit similar to the Zentangle. You don't have to go in with a plan first off. With the Zentangles, you start with a string and you build out from that. With this, you just want to start with some basic shapes. So just to get us started, I'm going to just do a basic window. From there I'll probably divide that up, so if we do that way, that way, that way, and that way. So we'll start from this top corner. Like I say, you're just going to follow those lines around. And the effect comes, rather than just having individual shapes on their own, there is when they actually start to join up. I find this really quite therapeutic actually, because like I say, you never quite know actually how they're going to pan out, but they do tend to make quite satisfying shapes and patterns. And depending on what shapes you put together in the first place, like I say, it can be quite a basic start. Actually creates quite an elaborate pattern, which, like I say, is actually really simple to do, but looks really effective. Ooh, sorry, my phone is going again. I'm in demand this morning. So I'm going to try and speed this up a bit, like so you can take some real time over what you're doing. I'm going to try and get this one done as much as possible. Oh, that's good to hear, Leanne. I'm going to do an interesting one after this one, depending on the time. In fact, I've still got a bit of time. I beat myself up a little bit last week because I overran. I normally only do 20 minutes and it ran on to about 45-50 minutes in the end, but actually I quite enjoyed it, but I will try not to do it too much or too long today. So just a quick mention about symmetry. When you're doing these, like you say, it creates a bit of a spiral. When you're joining the shapes up with something like that, for instance, that started off, I believe that was a square, which I then divided into a triangle. So that's a triangle there. You can probably see where that came from. So, and there was another triangle across there. What you could do is what I did there is actually start from the same corner every time, which creates an effect where actually the spiral then ends up going around like that. If, for example, you started in this corner like I did there, but you want the nice symmetrical shape, so I like to refer to that sort of shape as half a seashell, if you can see that. Looks like a bit of a seashell. To get that so it actually follows round and creates that shell on the opposite side, you want to start from the opposite corner, so that line will meet up with that one. You then follow that down. And as you can see, that's starting to build on that shape that you've created there. I'd say I'll call it a deliberate mistake. I didn't do it with this one, but as you can see, it doesn't matter which way you do it, it still makes interesting shapes. But if you're one for symmetry, which I tend to be, it always is worth starting from the opposite corner, so you can build on the shapes, and you can generally tell which end you need to start from, because one of those lines, or your first line, will always match up with the first line of the opposite shape. So I'll try and speed this up a bit because I've got one that I'm quite keen to show you. So excuse my messy lines. I thought of you actually with the seashells, Leanne. Reminds me of the seashell picture you had for your birthday. Must have been what, 2 years ago now. So you can take your time over doing these. After speed, it doesn't, like I say, it doesn't have to be exact. Doesn't have to be exactly straight lines. But your aim is that you'll want it vaguely the same width lines on both sides of your pictures that join up. So not exactly symmetrical there because I've gone a little bit off on a tangent, but the squares probably weren't, or the rectangles were different shapes. You can see on that side that one's slightly bigger than that side. So if you've got a bit more time and you want to measure out with a ruler so actually they're the same width, you'll get more of a symmetrical pattern. You can start building on that. So for the rectangles you've got, so start going around the rectangle. So I'm starting to speed that up a bit. My lines are getting bigger and bigger. Again, similar to the rectangles, you want to make these quite deliberate strokes, deliberate lines. Don't do what I'm doing and try and rush yourself, because actually it's quite a therapeutic process, actually drawing the lines as well as seeing the shapes that come out from it. As you can see from that, it's actually created another shape round there. As you can see, we've got another half a seashell, as I called it. So that tells you me that I want to start from that edge, draw along to there, follow it round. So we're building on the shapes that we've already got. Not too straight a line there, but so go in with no judgment. I've realised that for the whole time since I've turned the camera around, I actually haven't sat down. I've been standing up looking at the top of the screen and looking at what I'm doing, which hasn't been overly helpful. I'm hoping you've got a good view. So if you make any mistakes, just go with it. Call it deliberate. As I said last week with the Zentangles, there's no such thing as a mistake. It's an opportunity to learn. So there, as you can see, started with your blank shapes. So they were your squares, square there, square there. They were your rectangles, so a rectangle there, rectangle there. And then you've got your two spaces over on that side, which, depending on the time, I haven't done it with a ruler actually, Leanne. Probably could. I do have a ruler with me, so while I'm there, I will give it a go. It probably isn't a bad idea. It's probably a bit more time consuming, but actually would probably make for a bit more symmetry. Probably a bit of a neater drawing. You can see there, you're starting from there, and I'm actually lining up to the lines that I've already done. So yeah, Leanne's tip of the day. It's actually not a bad one. Does work pretty well. Doing it with a ruler, you do get some nice straight lines from that. For the sake of time, and because I want to move on to some other shapes. So far, like I say, we've done some sort of regular shapes and shown you how that they can be filled in. But I also want to show you some more sort of irregular shapes and filling in gaps. So if you have got some gaps on a Zentangle drawing like that, you can actually use this technique to fill that in too. I should go into there. So I almost feel I'm committed now. I'm gonna have to start with a ruler, because that's coming out really nicely. Again, like I said last week, well, probably every week actually, I'd love to see your pictures. If you're joining in at home, if you're doing it live with me, if you're doing it afterwards, after the event, if you can find this post again, post a picture of it. I'm sort of wanting to create a bit of a virtual gallery. I had some lovely pictures sent to me last week of the Zentangles you're doing. Someone sent me a message yesterday to say that they'd ordered a Zentangle kit online, which I'm looking forward to seeing what they create with that. So it's nice to have that feedback. It's nice to know that I'm not doing this for my own benefit, because as much as it is a benefit to me, I was very much enjoying doing these sessions on a Friday. It's always lovely to know that actually there's other people out in the world that are doing it with me, enjoying it, creating some art and filling that time and sharing it with me. Like I say, love to be able to make a virtual gallery. Like I said last week, if you are interested in doing some Zentangles like that, if you can make them 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches, then when we're able to get back together in person, we can actually look at making a big mosaic out of the art that we've done while we've had to sort of socially distance and isolate, which I think will be a nice collaborative project. Like I say, tip of the day has gone to Leanne, because the ruler is making some really lovely shapes with some very straighter lines than my unsteady hand this morning was capable of doing. However, for the sake of time, I'm probably going to end up doing this one and then moving on to some more shapes. What is the time? 12:30. So I don't want to overrun too much. We've got the quiz at 12 o'clock today, if anyone's interested in that as well. So I'll aim to finish with a good sort of 10 minutes to, or 15 minutes to spare. So you can get over onto the quiz registration if you haven't already registered. Get yourself a cup of tea in preparation of doing some quiz. Chances to win money for the first, I think it's first place, second place, third place wins a prize. The rest of the money goes to raising money for trust links to enable us to keep delivering services. So yeah, good shout, Leanne. That's actually really nice. Obviously the only straight line isn't on there is the one that I started with, but that does create a nice shape on there. So again, you'd want to start, so from that one, just to get that symmetry, you'd end up wanting to fill in that seashell shape there. So you'd start from this corner and start working your way outwards. Right, so I'm going to leave that one at that. Mama says yes, she prefers the freehand. I will leave it as a personal taste thing. Either way, it comes out pretty nicely. And like I say, you can use these for colouring pages, fill them in with nice colours. I might end up doing another rainbow one for the front window for the NHS. My children have been decorating the place with rainbows and have enjoyed going around spotting them as well from various places when we've been out for daily exercise. So it's nice to have things looking out for. I feel there's a real sense of community at the moment. My daughter spotted a rainbow in the window the other day, and a little girl around her age, when she sort of said, "Oh look, Daddy, a rainbow." A little girl around her age popped her head out the window and sort of waved, and it was really nice. It's sort of, circumstances tend to bring out the best in people, I think. So if there's one positive that's coming out of all of this is it is that the sense of community and people getting on with each other and being able to connect in different ways. Which I suppose this is a classic example of this. So anyway, so like I say, I'm leaving that one at that one because I want to show you different ways of actually fitting in different shapes. And there's a very cool design which I'm hoping will go well. Hit and miss, but we will see. So what's that, 18.5, so 9 point something about there. I'm going to use a ruler just to mark this one up because I want my shapes to be even. Actually, what I could do is just draw a diagonal line across. My ruler's not long enough, but never mind. We've still got people with me. 11 people, hello. Good to see you. Don't know if you've been with me for the duration or whether you're just joining, but welcome if you are. Just doing what was going to be a brief tutorial on how to do some 3D line art. It's turning into a bit of a longer one. But we're just building on making basic shapes into spirals and different shapes. So this one that I'm really keen to do, I'm going to have to do very quickly, but like I say, you can take a bit more time over it. We'll start with a spider's web. sort of shape design. Like I say, it does work very well if you can make, or try and make it as symmetrical as possible. He says, as I'm making this not particularly symmetrical, that's obviously different all the way around, but we'll roll with it. So it doesn't have to be perfect. The benefit's in the process, not the product. That's a bit better. So let's say this technique where you are just going round a shape, anyone's just joining, I will just show the basic premise of it. So you start with a shape and you start drawing a shape inside the shape, sort of bringing the angles in. It's very, very quick demonstration. Probably won't end up coming out very well. But that's what we're doing with it. So it does work for any shape. It doesn't have to be a square, it doesn't have to be a rectangle, it doesn't have to be a triangle. It can be anything, even spirals, not spirals, even sort of segments of a spider's web. So let's sit down again from there. So I'm going to start from this end. Like I say, you can start with any shape as long as you draw your board around first. Draw what you fancy in there. So you can actually start, like I said, I did this one with biro, it didn't come out particularly well, so I abandoned it yesterday. But you can have sort of irregular shapes around that. You could, I mean, you could do anything really. You could have sort of lines throughout. Just have a play around with it really. Or even if you wanted to perhaps join something together, you could draw a series of squares around a border. So where that border is, you could actually section that into squares and do, I'm not going to draw it on there, but you could draw mini shapes around. So if you've got a piece of art or something that you've got that you would like to do a border on, you can actually do that just round the edge rather than just focused on the middle. But like I say, it works for any shape. Just have a play around with it. So let's get on and do this spider's web. So you start from one edge. It doesn't matter if you're doing the cross, if it joins the majority of that line, because that's what actually creates your darker lines of your spirals when they actually join up. You're just gonna start along those lines and end up a bit further across. So you take your time over it. I suppose actually, Leanne, this sort of shape wouldn't work particularly well with a ruler, because although you've got some straight lines, you've also got curves sort of attached in it as well. So did I want to start from there? Yeah, I'll start from there. Not entirely sure how this is going to end up. I'm hoping it will be quite a nice effect. You'll see that, okay? Yeah, you can see that there. Where did I just end up? There. That's half the battle as well. If you're if you are drawing, you end up getting distracted. Is picking up where you left off, because it's not always easy to spot where where your line actually got to. So just following your pen round. So for instance, I'm going to try and make this symmetrical front and back. That's made a nice little cone shape in the corner. So as you can see, that one's sort of pointing outwards. So for this one, for the symmetry, I want to be, where do I want to start with that? I'm going to start down here. I can't remember where I started on there. Two chances. I want to end up so that's coming out that way. So if I go round the shape like that, there you go. You've got a bit of symmetry going on. So I'm going to speed this up a bit. You can take as much time as you like. Please, like I say, show me what you're up to, show me what you've done in the comments. I would very much like to see them. Yeah, it's vaguely symmetrical. I'm just going to go with it. So for that one's going out that way, so I'm going to start from there. Oops. This is where it's not always advisable to do it too quickly. I want to make them nice, deliberate, thoughtful strokes rather than rushing it. So you're almost changing the shape where you've got a curve like that. You're almost changing the shape as you go round, so your lines do get straighter. So you're going to a point just off of the line. You will find that although there is a curve on there, it will end up almost squaring itself off as you go across. As you can see, it really reminds you of a flower. Hi Arlene. Hello Alex. Hello everybody. Welcome Janet and Sammy. I've still got 15 people watching. I'll take that. You're not bored of me. Not bored of me yet then. So where do I start with this one? I'll start there, I think. So you can start from there. That should start joining up, yeah. So the difficulty can be is knowing where to start on the next segment, especially when it's sort of irregular shapes. When you've got something like that, it's kind of obvious because you know you want to be building that fan or that seashell out that way, where it's a bit more irregular. It can be difficult to know, but at the same time, Let's say you don't actually start, or I never start this process. I'm sure there's some people out there that can visualize exactly what it would look like before they even put a pen to paper. My brain doesn't work like that, so I like to be as surprised as everyone else when it as to how it's going to come out. But it doesn't matter if it's not symmetrical, it still makes good shapes, like that one. It's quite interesting to look at. Like I say, it is really simple. Like you say, Alison, really simple, but it is really effective. So for that one, we'll start from that edge. So you can try and join your lines up to an extent. How am I doing on time? What's the time? 46. Like I say, I will definitely speed this one up a bit more then. Hogging the camera time. So we have got Trosling's quiz coming up at 12 o'clock. If you're joining us for that, I won't keep you from going to that. If you need to come back, watch this video later, you can go and sign up. I believe there's a link on either the Trustlinks or the Trustlinks Live Facebook page. There's a post that explains how to register for that. And like I say, that starts at 12 o'clock, so I don't want to be keeping people from doing that. You can always come back. Beauty of these live videos is that they do get posted up afterwards, always available for you to come back and watch. So if you miss something, you want to recap, whether that's on the 10 o'clock wellbeing skills or wellbeing section, the 11 o'clock learner skills, arts and crafts, music section. We've got a very talented lady, Nicola, who does a sing-along on a Monday. She did a small songwriting section on Monday for us as well. So there's quite a few things. Or if you want to catch up with what's happening in our 4 community gardens or staff gardens, if they're not able to get out and about to ours, just see some familiar faces, check in with people. You can always watch them back if you miss them live. They're all there on the website, on the Facebook page, ready for you to watch back at your leisure. I'm keen to get this one finished. If I don't manage it and I run out of time, so I don't want to keep people from lunchtime or the quiz. I've only managed to join the quiz once myself so far, but it was good fun. So I don't want to keep people from that. So what I may do is finish up in a minute. Arlene, that's the thing, you don't need to be creative. It's more expression. Everyone, I mean, if you go back and look at the Zentangles I did last week, one of the basic premises on that is that they believe, people who created the method believe, that anyone is an artist. It's just about expression. It doesn't matter what the end it looks like, or the end product looks like. Actually, it's sort of in expression. It's taking away that judgment from it. Good thing with this sort of thing is that actually all you're doing is following a process. It's almost like a formula straight away. of how to create a bit of art. So it doesn't really, you don't need to be creative in the first place. You can just literally create some shapes and just quite easily go with the flow as to what you've put on the paper in the first place, and just create that shape again the whole way round. I'm just going to do the inside bit on that. As I am conscious of the time. What's the time now? 51. I will sign off in a minute. What I would do, because I'm actually really liking where this one's going, is finish it off. Possibly not today, because as much as I am, or not during the day, as much as I am very much enjoying doing these art sections, I also have a job to be getting on with. This is just a work perk at the moment. I'm very much enjoying sort of spending some time showing people how to create some lovely things, do some art. Very much enjoying seeing yours as well. But I don't think I'm going to have time this afternoon to get it finished. I'll get done what I can in the next 4 minutes, because I'll aim to finish at 5 minutes to give people a bit of breathing space to get onto the quiz if you are quizzing today. I think the cost is £3 entry. Sounds like a sales pitch. I'm not selling it to you, but it's another thing to be doing, and it's another way of raising some money for Trust Links as well. If you've enjoyed our videos, then it's a fun way of getting involved. Chance to win some money, and also help us with continuing to provide services for people. Oh, do a little tiny one. Okay, Leanne, I'll do a little tiny one. So again, you want to be following across. So as you can see with that, you're doing the symmetry. You want to make sure that you're almost mirroring, so that way and that way. So I will try and do this one here. I'll probably start that one from the middle. Follow it round that way. Up to there. Up to there, up to there, up to there. So that's one of the smaller ones in the middle. So again, like I say, if you're looking for your symmetry, that line goes out to there. So you want a line starting probably from the top to go out to there to mirror it. So it's not essential that it mirrors, but at the same time it does give a nice symmetrical effect. Makes it a bit more aesthetically pleasing, although if it's not symmetrical, doesn't matter. That one's not symmetrical in the slightest. There's some level of symmetry in it. I did it right for that bit, but I'm not saying I did it wrong for the rest of it, because actually it makes a nice, quite abstract pattern. So yeah, so like I say, you want to just follow that round. I'll probably start from there on that one. You probably just see my head come into shot again now. One thing I'm not is definitely a professional cameraman. I don't think I'm professional anything particularly, but cameraman is not definitely on my skills list. Like I say, I'm going to fill in this section, and I think I'll probably then check some comments, say hello, say goodbye, let you get on with your day, and I will post a picture of the finished product of this one. When I get a chance to finish it, which will probably be at some point this evening. Like I say, please get back, and if you're following along at home, if you're doing your own designs, your own shapes, I would absolutely love to see them all. Yeah. Hi Andy. Arlene, yes, I'll send you the link to this video afterwards. If you have missed anything, or you haven't seen what we've been doing on any of our videos, we do upload them all onto the Trust Things Live Facebook page. So you can you can either scroll down and find the video that you're looking for, or there should be a section either at the top or at the side somewhere which would say videos, where you can then have a scroll through. Like I say, we have three sections a day. They've normally got a title, so you can find which one you're looking for quite easily, and it will have a picture of the video on there as well. But like I say, I'll quite happily send you a link to this post so you can see from the beginning. I like this one. Like I say, you can do it with any single shape, but actually this one I think is actually building into something really, really pleasing. Hi Rob. Hi Alex, thank you. What is the time? It's 57. I'm going to fill in one more shape and then I'm going to say goodbye. So I want to go from that edge. So I'm going to go that way. I think next week what I will do is, when I'm doing I normally have a rehearsal the Thursday night before I go on the Friday, so I'm clear on what I'm doing. I know I can have a bit of a run through, but I need to actually time myself as to how long these sort of roughly take, factoring in talking through it, saying hello to people and everything else as well, so I don't run out of time. If you have any ideas of what we would like to see next week, so far I think I've done something different every week, but actually if you've enjoyed today's, or you enjoyed last week's, or you've enjoyed more of the making side of things, please let me know in the comments. Like I say, I want it to be as interactive as possible. If there's things that you want to be doing, I know someone said last week that they'd like to see some painting, they'd like to see some stained glass windows. I know quite a good technique for making some stained glass windows, but I'm waiting on an Amazon order for some supplies to be able to show you that one. The main thing I wanted to do with these videos is actually try and make it as accessible as possible, so using things that people will find in their own homes, won't have to go out specifically to buy something. So as long as you've got some paper, some felt tips, possibly some scissors, that's been my basic that's been my basic philosophy for doing these. I've done that wrong. I was supposed to go around the other way. I can see that. Never mind. That's what you get for trying to talk, think and draw at the same time. So it's easily fixed, and hopefully the mistake, not that you're supposed to call them mistakes, but the mistake can be covered up and hidden within the lines. Okay, draw an extra line in there just for clarity. Right, so hopefully you can see that. I didn't unfortunately get time to actually finish it today. I will finish it off. I'm overrunning. I've been on for an hour and I probably should be getting on to do something else. Like I say, that's a nice example of what we can do with that. So, it's been lovely to see you all. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all your comments. Like I say, please let me know if there's anything you want to see next week. Anything particularly you want to be doing. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.